Ladies and gentlemen, despite the fact that we're still in May, it's now June as far as the story mode fragment is concerned because the stages have been reset. So 29 days and 20 hours for the new characters. Now is the time if you're thinking about using some of your excess resources to tier 3 a character, to transcend a character. Make sure you take a look at these lists and you compare them to what you have so that you can make the most out of your story mode fragment farming for the month of June. So let's go ahead and check out what we've got this month. Unfortunately, Adam Warlock appearing twice, which is pretty brutal. It's an increase of 25% or 30% or whatever on his global total since he was first introduced, or since this was first introduced, I should say. Apocalypse also gets shown up twice, so you're going to see a lot of this repeats of expensive native tier 2s and expensive premium characters. Black Panther shows up twice, which is pretty cool for like cheaper optioned characters. Elektra shows up twice, which is not bad. Then we have Green Goblin showing up twice, which is excellent. So there's a good balance of things as far as characters that show up more than once. Icarus shows up twice, which kind of sucks, but as you'll see, a lot of the Eternals show up, unfortunately. Iron Hammer shows up twice, so keep that in mind if you haven't transcended him. Now might be a good time, especially because he's on 8-3, which is a very sought-after fragment. Then you have Luna Snow showing up twice. Could lead to rumors of tier 4 Luna Snow, as we all know and love to make jokes about. We have Makari showing up twice. That's the second Eternal in a row showing up twice. Yeah, you guessed it. Moonstone showing up twice. Expensive Crystal Wall character, unfortunately. Namor showing up twice. Remember when I said Elektra? And remember when I said Black Panther? Yeah, I'm guessing you want to see more of those. But unfortunately, Professor X shows up twice. So yeah, this month, in my opinion, is one of the more expensive as far as the characters that are being targeted multiple times. The good thing about Professor X... No, never mind. I was going to say you can skip him. I thought those were both in the Shield one, but they're not. The first one is the Shield. The second one is All War, which is the Odin's Blessing Uru farm. So that's unfortunate. However, this month we do have a 4Xer. It's very rare nowadays to see a character featured 4 times, but Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider, goddamn, is featured 4 freaking times. 2-1, 7-1, 8-2, and 12-1. Highly valuable target. So if you have not transcended Robbie Reyes Ghost Rider, I highly recommend doing so. There's an all uniform sale on right now, so you could also pick up his uniform. Unfortunately, if we go over to those stages, you'll see that he's often featured. So here he's not featured as the leadership, which is good. But then I believe on 7-1, on 7-1, he's not featured as the leadership, but he may be if you don't want Scourge to run through, which I can understand why. On 8-2, he is featured as the lead. So if you don't have his uniform, but you build him, you're going to have to deal with that. And then on 12-1, I believe he is also... No, he's not, actually. So he's only the lead on one of the stages. So you know what? You actually don't need to pick up his uniform. I was incorrect about that. But yeah, definitely consider transcending him if you don't already have him transcended. Sentry shows up twice. Ouch. Cersei shows up twice. So that's 3 Eternals. 3 freaking Eternals that show up twice. Crazy. Spider-Man shows up twice, which is cool. Spider-Man, hey. Sunbird shows up twice, which kind of sucks. Athena shows up once. Thor shows up 3 times, which is very good because a lot of people build Thor. Sorry about that, I hadn't scrolled yet. But yeah, Thor shows up 3 times, which is really, really nice, and he's often a lead. And then Wolverine, for whatever reason, shows up 3 times as well. Kind of weird for old Logan there, but that is the breakdown for the characters that are featured more than once. Everybody else that's featured is only featured 1 time. We have a lot of 2s, no 3s, I guess, or just 1 3 here, and then 1 4. 2 3s and 1 4. So most of the stuff is spread out between 1 and 2 features, but you do have a lot of characters in both the expensive department like Jean Grey, Scarlet Witch, and then the pretty good department. Thankfully, as far as constructing the team goes, it's a pretty easy month. We only see Scourge once, Lizard once, and Caecilius once. So by and large, they've avoided a lot of the shit characters like the Cleas and the Vultures and things like that who just don't have uniforms and were just transcended, months or years ago and never got anything. But yeah, there are a couple of stages that you go through and you have to take a look at. The first one that I want to point out, one of the biggest ones that's going to cause a bit of headaches, is 7-1. So you're going to want to run through this with Scourge and see if he can survive. If he can't survive, it can make things difficult because we actually need more spots than we have available in order to cover all of the sort of weak stages. But yeah, 7-1 is certainly an issue if your Scourge can't clear it. Some people's can, some people's can't. 7-2 can be a problem if you have a really weak build on Wave, so you should keep that in mind. You should sort of watch out for that. On this stage here, on the True Shield, we don't have any issues besides Lizard. The other 3 stages are great, but the Lizard stage is a big problem. Lizard's probably even less equipped than Scourge to clear this stage, but again, you can test and see between Lizard and Scourge which one is worse, you know, and then you can move them around accordingly onto the sides. But obviously Thena and Riri could easily plow through that stage. The All War is pretty good. You have Scarlet Witch, Thor, and Storm. Only problem here is on the last one, you have White Fox lead. That's not really going to cut it. She does have, I mean, maybe she can cut it. You can try it out and see. But she only has cold damage on 3 of her skills. So she doesn't actually deal full elemental damage. She only deals it on 3 of her skills. She actually doesn't even deal it on her ultimate ability. So even if your White Fox can clear the stage, it's going to take a really long time. A really long time. So more likely than not, you want to factor that in, either putting Wolverine as a lead on your auto team or by putting White Fox on the left or the right. But keep in mind, we already have Scourge and Lizard to keep track of. So we have 3 characters to keep track of now: Scourge, Lizard, and White Fox. This is where it gets kind of tricky. And then for the 13th stage, for whatever reason, they put really good characters in for the first 2. Well, Sunbird's not that good. But anyways, the big stage, the most difficult stage, the Thanos stage, 13-3, is where things get difficult. Because all 3 of these characters suck. Ghost Panther, Chasm, and Medusa. Now, Ghost Panther does give you buffs. Right, he's going to give you buffs. He's going to give you increased damage to villains and decreased damage received from villains. Also, if you're running Ghost Panther, he has a self-buffing lead. So maybe there is a world in which your Ghost Panther can clear the stage. I would say test it out and see. My guess is he can't, or he's going to get one-shotted. And my guess is that Chasm has a better chance of winning. Okay, and Chasm has buffs as well, right? So Chasm has buffs to Spider Sense allies from being Ben Riley. And then those are going to stack with Ghost Panther. So Ghost Panther doesn't take advantage of Chasm's buffs, but Chasm takes advantage of Ghost Panther's buffs. Therefore, in my opinion, I think the best auto team looks something like this. So I think you should put Chasm in the lead. I swapped between putting Wolverine in the lead or putting Chasm in the lead. It really depends on this stage here, this 13-3 stage. And if you can clear it with Ghost Panther. If you can clear it with Ghost Panther, then you can put Wolverine in the lead, and then you can swap out White Fox for Scourge. Okay, so I'll basically show you the 2 different teams, but this is the team that I like the best. I think my Scourge can clear 7-1. I don't trust Lizard on that stage, and I don't trust White Fox on the other stage, and it's going to take too long, so we don't want to do that. And then I trust Chasm to take out Thanos. But again, your mileage may vary. Okay, some people see what I'm saying and they take it as like a hard and fast rule, and then they go in with their, you know, shitty 0 build Chasm who has no Uru and no Obelisk and nothing, and they get clapped, and they're like, oh, Alex lied to us. He told us the Chasm could clear it. Your mileage may vary, right? Your mileage may vary. That's very important to remember. But yeah, this is the team that I think is going to work the best for the most players. But there is another suggestion that I have for you, okay? So we're going to construct this other team here, but I actually have one more suggestion for you. So the other team here is instead you put Scourge on one side, and then you put, if you don't care about the Ghost Panther lineup, right? If you can have Ghost Panther kill Thanos, then here you would put Wolverine in the lead so that he bumps White Fox for this team, and then you would still go ahead and put Lizard in on the other side. So this is an alternate team up here if your Ghost Panther can kill Thanos. That's really what it's down to. So there are 2 team compositions here, depending on whether or not your Ghost Panther is strong enough to clear Thanos on his own. However, there is a third option, and I'll point out this third option because I haven't really said this in a video yet, but it begs sort of saying, not everybody farms the True Shield. It's just the fact of the matter. Not everyone farms this stage because the Dimensional Clash gives you lots of tier 3 materials, right? If you hit the tier 3 materials, it's 250. It can give you a CTP, which is awesome. The All War can give you Odin's Blessings, which is awesome, and it can give you tier 3 materials as well. And then the Future Ends here, the Thanos one, can give you a premium card, or it gives you 5 and 6 star comic cards, which is great. The True Shield gives you ISO. Not the valuable ISO from Contest of Champions, but the less valuable ISO from Marvel Future Fight. Now, I still think ISO is valuable. I still think there's value to farming this stage, but not everyone does. Not everyone does. So if you're the kind of person who doesn't really care about the ISO, if maybe you don't need the ISO, then you don't have to do this at all, right? Maybe you want to save the energy. You don't want to spend the 28 energy every day to farm these 4 stages. So then in that case, you don't have to worry about Lizard at all, right? In that case, what you can do is you can basically take the best of both worlds, and you basically put Chasm in the lead, and then you put Scourge on the right side instead of Lizard. But again, this team is only if you're not going to run the All War. Sorry, this team is only if you're not going to run the True Shield, okay? So I basically gave you 3 team lineups. You have the Lizard, White Fox lineup with Chasm lead, and that's the one that I think is going to cover you the best overall. You just have to build your Scourge up a little bit. Then alternatively, if your Ghost Panther is good enough, you can run the Wolverine, Scourge, Lizard lineup. If your Ghost Panther can kill Thanos on 13-3 without dying, which is a possibility for some players, I guess. And then the other alternative, if you hate True Shield and you're not going to run it at all, is the lineup that doesn't include Lizard at all. But otherwise, you do need Lizard there, unless you run him manually through that stage on 9-1, and he can do it. But again, your mileage may vary. You're going to have to test that out yourself. I don't trust my Lizard, so I'm going to have to do the hard work, the heavy lifting for him. So yeah, that's about it for this month's story mode fragment farming. I know these videos don't get a lot of attention, they don't get a lot of views, but I actually really enjoy doing this because it's done every month and because it's unique every month. I really enjoy coming up with these team compositions based on the sort of setup of characters and considering 31 different stages and how sort of things are going to line up. It's a really fun little puzzle for me that I otherwise don't get to do in any other aspect of Marvel Future Fight. So I just wanted to mention that. I know it sounds kind of cheesy or whatever, but if there was another way that the devs could put that kind of content into the game where you're doing content that requires you to solve a puzzle with the roster, I think that would be really interesting. We do that to an extent with things like restrictions, with things like the ABX and ABL weeks. You know, they sort of have that, but they're very simple puzzles, right? Just use the green characters or use the blue characters or use the red characters. It's just color-coded. You know, a 2-year-old could figure out that kind of puzzle. But having more interesting puzzles like the one for story mode where you have to know how good the characters are, you have to know how well they function in a team, you know, how well their autoplay works, etc. Much more depth of knowledge required for that puzzle, and it feels a lot more satisfying when you can come up with a good answer, or sometimes multiple different good answers. So I really like that. It kind of reminds me of the different teams that people thought up when Dispatch first came out, and people were tinkering and theory crafting different teams based on how much ignore, dodge, and all defense down you could pump out, and taking advantage of certain leaderships like White Foxes that increases your debuff effects. It was a really interesting time for the game, and I don't really mention this much for my criticism videos, but it's honestly something that the devs should look towards building into the game more, right? Having puzzles, you know, weekly or monthly puzzles that you solve with your roster in different unique ways is actually really interesting. And it's certainly more interesting than just slapping Jean Grey and 2 supports and just face rolling all of the content. But hey, it's Marvel Future Fight, baby. Anywho, that's it for me for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be playing Diablo 4 tomorrow, so do not message me. No, but I will be AWOL. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. Anywho, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.